friends, and welcome to We're All Fine. This is Holly, and with me is my awesome, amazing, super groovy co-host, Carly. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Holly. I like groovy. Hi, guys.
It just felt like the right descriptor to use today.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, I'm feeling very energized because of what we're talking about today.
I love that.
It's giving me lots of warm fuzzies, but also lighting a fire. Because today we're talking about little acts of rebellion for us little delicate ladies. So here's the thing. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed. It's a pretty crazy world out there right now. And more than that, it's kind of a crazy place for women. I mean, I guess it always has been.
Mhm.
When you're looking back at, how recently we were just given access to, say, our own bank account or ability to buy property. It really wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't. There are people that are not even grandparents yet that
right.
got approved for their first credit card without a husband's permission
And the
for the
thing
first
is
time.
that I have been talking to my daughter about it. I think, Carly, you and I are both fortunate and also hugely cursed to both have daughters
Mhm.
in this world right now. So
100%.
with my daughter, who turns 13 actually in 3 weeks, which is freaking terrifying, I bring up these things occasionally. And here is this girl who's been raised with a strong mom and a supportive dad who's very supportive of women. Like, she doesn't understand why any of this would be the case, why there would ever have been a time that women were considered second rate citizens.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting now as she's getting older where she's beginning to notice
Mhm.
a lot of these sort of microaggressions against women, and some aren't so micro at
Mm-mm.
all.
Oh, no.
Um, yeah, and she's beginning to see that and really kind of understand what's happening, and it's kind of pissing her off.
Well,
So,
good. I mean, I feel like it's a healthy reaction. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like my little 8-year-old all of the time. Like, I don't know. I it's probably my fault, but I feel like she's been more aware. Cuz like when she says things like I hate school, why do I have to do school? I'm like, well, because women fought really hard for the right to do it. So, you're welcome. Sit down and be thankful. Uh,
my God, that's the best reasoning I've ever heard. Anytime my daughter's like, I just don't want to go today, I'll be like, whoa,
Yeah, and the
check
older
yourself.
they get, the more blunt and graphic you can be with what women had to go through in order to obtain education. So, like, you get to go to school as your child's name instead of, being Paul and wearing a boy cap or a news cap hat. What are those called? A
Why
news
do I
cap hat?
Yeah, I feel like you're going into a Newsies universe with your Yentl.
Yeah, well, I think that's what it is. Is that's I'm like, oh, a strong woman trying to be taken seriously,
Papa, can you
having.
hear me? So, uh, so with our daughters, as they're kind of realizing this, and they're not really in a place at this moment where in their elementary and middle school that they can be burning bras and, signing petitions and all the things. So it's really important to give them tools for tiny little rebellions that allow them to be heroes in their own right without really, setting things on fire yet. And for a lot of our listeners who are like, I've talked with you guys. You guys have come up and spoken with me, and you're like, yes, love that you're a voice now. Yes, love what you're saying. But also, I can't. I can't do that in my workspace. I'm things are really tentative where I'm at in
Mhm.
my social circle. I can't loudly do those things. So we want to give you guys some tools today that allow you to not only have some a little bit of rebellion that you can feel good and safe with, but also the motivation to do it.
Mhm.
So that's our gift to you today.
Well, yeah, like, I don't know, like, we don't all have to be full-blown revolutionaries. We're gonna talk about revolutionaries today and, like, huge rebellious women in history that, like, sometimes changed the course of history, which is really cool. But then there's also just that really cool coworker that just doesn't really put up with a lot of shit, that, like, that's a huge act of rebellion. Like, if you email loudly,
Yeah.
that's, like, a really cool act of rebellion. So, yeah, I think it's big or small, and I like the idea of, like, being the hero of your own story. I like that, especially with nowadays, because there are a lot of narratives going, and a lot of them don't feel safe.
Right.
So, to just be, like, safe within yourself or strong enough or stable enough within yourself, I think that's really cool, and then if you can be a little sassy with it, that makes it feel even more fun. So,
So that's what we're gonna start with today is no matter what we say today, add just a dash of sass in
yeah.
anything that we're handing you today. And
Mhm.
we're all on the same path.
Yep.
So Carly, do you want to start us out with some of your superstar ladies?
Yes. So we'll start with the women that have, like, some women that have worked really hard to change history so that we can acknowledge why we can do little acts of rebellion, because they worked really hard and some of us just don't have that capacity right now. So, we're gonna start all the way back 395 AD.
Oh, wow, like real far back.
Uh-huh. Her name was Fabiola, which love that name.
Okay.
And she was
I'm
a
on board already.
yeah, right? She was a Roman aristocrat who was married and then was like, ugh, don't want to be married to this guy anymore. And then got remarried. And all of this was condemned by the Christian society, like completely condemned. She was not able to keep her social status. So instead of what she instead what she did was she took all of her money because she no longer had to deal with like aristocratic society and like keeping up with the Joneses. And she founded a hospital for the poor and for outcasts of her city. So people that would normally not get like any help or any health care or treatment. And it is likely the first hospital in the Western world.
Whoa.
Yeah. So she divorced, she remarried, she said, F all y'all, I'm doing what I want, and then took care of people that would have never been taken care of otherwise.
I didn't even think you could get divorced at that time.
I honestly, I don't know like the ins and outs of it, but like she very clearly was like, don't, I'm not married anymore. So, and then also look at this new hunk. I'm with this guy.
Yeah.
And
He'll
it
just be by
worked
my
for him.
side as I build this hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Yep. What
Okay,
are you gonna
thanks,
do?
Fabiola.
Yeah. Next one, which I love. Do you know when I didn't know this, when the first female ran for president in the United States?
My gosh. I feel like it was in the '80s?
Oh, right. Like in the 1800s is what I just heard you say. So the very first woman to run for president, like what a badass, like what a rebel,
What?
was in 1872, and her name was Victoria Clayfin Woodhull. And she became the first woman to run for president. She was a very colorful candidate, and she also advocated for free love and was one of the first people to use that terminology. So instead of being like, you gotta be monogamous and patriarchy and stuff, she was like, hey, free love. Also, I think I'd be a good president.
What? Okay, I am flabbergasted by this because this sounds like a time traveler who just wanted to append politics. So, this is pre women having the right to vote.
Mhm. Yeah,
She still runs for president and then says, "Yay, sex," at a time where women are supposed to be virginal right up until they enter their marriage bed, where they are still supposed to stay as sweet and virginal until he says he's ready for it.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Basically, the idea was like, well, y'all aren't going to let us have the right to vote, so vote for me. Like, which
Wow.
I love. And then, yeah, basically saying, hey, by the way, sex is cool for everybody. So let's focus on that part.
Nothing is gonna change my mind that this woman was a time traveler. There's no way.
Love that. That's so funny. Our next person is Ida B. Wells Barnett.
Stop it. Ida B? Ida B.
Ida.
Wells?
Yeah, Ida is the first name, B is the middle name, and then Wells Barnett is last name.
Okay. Between Fabiola and Ida B. Wells, it sounds like you're giving me the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race. Like, every
I
person
love
that you're
that.
bringing up, I'm like, "Really, though?"
This is why you should always give your children the best names. Like, give your children really cool names because they're going to be cool. Like, you don't see a lot of like Kevins doing a lot, you know? You don't see a lot of like Ruths doing a lot. Like, some Ruths did really a lot of things, but like, have a cool name and you're gonna do cooler shit.
Okay.
It's just, that's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's ridiculous. He made a bunch of white people that can't pronounce anything able to pronounce Schwarzenegger. Like, that's great. Like, that's so good. Ida was born into slavery and went on to become one of the most influential African American women of her time. So she was a journalist, a teacher, an activist, and actually rose to prominence because, against all odds and against all of the warnings, decided to report on the illegal lynching of black men in the South and published her findings in her own newspaper, which was titled The Free Speech and Headlight. Ida went through like a lot of shit. So there was a mob in response to her releasing her findings that came and burned down her offices of her newspaper.
Oh, no.
But she, instead of being like allowing that to scare her, she ended up moving and relocating from Memphis to Chicago and then continued to campaign against lynching. And in 1909 she helped found the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which what we know as the NAACP.
NAACP.
Yep. And it still exists today. It is still helping young men and women today. So even though people like even though people her entire life were attempting to silence her and to make her afraid. She was like, fuck that. I'm just going to get louder and I'm just going to do more work and I'm going to help my community and my people and you're not going to silence me. And I'm just a huge Ida B. Wells. Like, if you ever have a student that needs to do a book report on someone, her life is incredible and she's super interesting.
Wow.
One of my favorites for sure. And then our last one I'll talk about today, of course, there have been hundreds and thousands and millions of women over time that have done incredible things. But our last one that I will talk about today is Nancy Wake. So, Nancy Wake was a resistance fighter, a saboteur, and a secret agent. When the Nazis
Ooh.
invaded France in World War II, she was instrumental. Like, she was the deciding factor in a lot of things when it came to getting people out of the country. Like, she helped save so many lives.
How?
Um so she served as a carrier of people. So basically, think of, you know, in like action movies, how at the very end all the guys with the big guns come in and like save all of the like people that need help.
Right.
So she did that, but by herself a lot of times.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so because she was so unassuming, she was able to rally people and get people to safety. She also continued to be a carrier after and for the French resistance. Sorry, she was wanted by the Gestapo, and they named her the White Mouse. Which, yeah, so the Nazis were like, fuck that lady. And she was like, I'm just like doing cool stuff, so I don't know what you want from me. She fled to France in 1943. But parachuted back in a year later to lead a group of over 7,000 resistance fighters.
That is the most badass thing I have ever heard. Like, you
Ever.
return in a parachute,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
landing
Mhm,
with, like, the superhero pose onto the ground, parachute behind you.
mhm.
I have a whole vision.
Yeah. Like, in World War II, she's already, like, saving lives after France is invaded. She's, like, rescuing people, getting people out, getting people over borders to, like, safe areas. Then she runs because they're like, "Hey, we're gonna get you," and she's like, "Oh, if you get me, I can't help people anymore, and I can't, like, keep fighting the good fight." So then, like, lays low for just a little bit, then parachutes back in to lead a resistance of 7,000 people, and then there's also she led fighters in numerous victories, and she even defeated a German army that was 22,000 strong. So and then wrote her own autobiography, which was a bestseller, and
Of
got all the
course.
money for it.
So, here's the thing, whenever I think of, like, women like this, especially, like, when I hear, like, World War II spies and resistance fighters, in my head, they're always these, like, amazing femme fatales, these, like, beautiful genetic lottery winners who do this, and in hearing this story, Nancy's, like, this unassuming,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
kinda plain person with the nickname The White Mouse. Like, The White Mouse, there's nothing femme fatale about that title whatsoever,
right. No, it's
and
not. Like, it's
that's kind
not,
of
like
special. Somehow, I I have been, tainted with the patriarchal belief that, like, power is in beauty, and, oh, she's pretty, but yeah, she's just kind of
yeah,
like normal human. There's nothing like
yep, she's gorgeous, but, like, at the same time, it's like, "Whoa, you are going to be known for what you did and the lives that you saved and some of the lives that you took," because, like, she took out, like, a sentry and, like, a bunch of people. So, like, she was a badass. Like, G.I. Joe has nothing on Nancy Wake, but, like, she will always be remembered for, like, what she did. Like, the fact that, like, I don't know, I think about that kinda stuff all the time, like, if there was an invasion and I'm too busy and focused on, like, how do I protect my children, my husband, like, how do I get out? And here's Nancy Wake that's like, "Alright, I gotta figure out how to get, like, thousands of people to safety. Let me go ahead and do that." It's insane.
so let's just say, dear listeners, that you, at least this week, don't have a parachute with which you can fly into danger zones with. Are not interested in running for government because yeesh, that is fucking terrifying right now. And at the time, like, you're not quite in a place where you can have your home burned down and start up a brand new organization that will be a legacy for millions afterwards. Okay. So great. I hear that maybe you don't have those tools in your toolbox right now. So, I mean, and next week is always different, but let's just say, what can you do right now? Okay. And I want to give credit where credit is due. This came to me originally. It was a reel that I sent out to a number of friends, which was just killed me. So at Laura Fink on Instagram is where this list came from. But this is a list of acts of micro feminism, are tiny pieces of rebellion that you can do, all of you, no matter where you're at, no bra burning required. This is fun. All right. So the very first one, and I do have some stuff to say on this one. If you are walking down the street or in the hall at work and you see a man walking towards you, do not be the one to move out of the way. Here's the
Mhm.
thing, we are conditioned as women to move out of the way, be polite, right? We are
Make
like
space.
sugar and spice and everything nice. Okay, so that's what we are doing. You will find, if you want to try this little experiment, take one day and just see what happens if you decide not to move. Now, obviously, you're going to move for people who are like carrying packages or,
Yeah.
somebody has a physical disability or obviously, okay? But take one day and choose not to move out of the way if a man is coming at you. Okay. and watch how many of them will not move out of the way, but will in fact barrel through you.
Yep, they'll bump right into you.
Now, I
Oh,
gave
yeah.
this, and I think we've talked about it on one of the other episodes, but I gave this assignment to my daughter and her friend at the middle school because they didn't believe me. And I said, why don't you just do it in the hallways? And when I picked them up after school, they were like, Mom, you would not believe how many people ran into me today. And I'm like, yep.
I was at Disneyland a little while ago, and I was walking through one of the stores, and I'm looking down, I'm looking at things, but definitely not being an asshole in any way, like not plowing through people, not being rude, aware of my surroundings, but focused on my own thing, which I'm allowed to do. And I'm going to like move forward because the coast was clear, and then all of a sudden there's this huge obstacle in the form of like a rude fucking dude. And so I don't move because really there's not enough room to, and I shouldn't have to. And this person just stood there waiting for me to move out of his way. It was very clear what he wanted me to
He
do.
couldn't move around you.
Yeah, no, just refuse, and there was plenty of room. Like, he could have just made himself, like, turned a little bit to the side and then turned. But, like, I was standing there trying to get my husband's attention to, like, look at this thing for our child. He gets so annoyed with me, he throws up his hands, like, rolls his eyes, and then, like, goes around the whole area as if I am, like, this huge bitch that just ruined his whole fucking day at Disneyland because I didn't make myself smaller for him to walk through this exact, like, tiny segment. It was so frustrating. I was so mad, and I loved the fact that he was so pissed off. I just laughed and laughed and
Well, I think for a lot of these guys, like, they've never noticed it before.
Mm-mm.
So they think like it's just being like we're being ridiculous. I had posted something on my social media. I thought it was funny, but it was like a screenshot of a post that was like, "I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy, refusing to move and asserting my dominance."
I love
Right? I
that.
thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
And this dude gets on my Facebook and is like, "No gender should be asserting their dominance over any other. If a
Oh my
man
god.
had said this, you would have been very upset." And I'm like, "Yeah, but a man wouldn't say this because this is literally what happens every single day. Like, there's no
Ugh.
need to state it because it literally happens every day." S-
Here's my soapbox with that, and we can cut this part out, Holly, it's totally fine, but when there's the argument made, when a woman says something about her own experience, so in this exact thing, we clearly feel a sense of dominance when a man is forcing us to move out of their way, for us to cross our legs so they have more room to sit on public transportation. It is clear that we are not equal in those moments and that we are expected to make the room to get out of the way to make life easier for other. And if you are not a female, you probably have never felt what that feels like. Those moments of sheer, this person has dominance, this person is stronger than me. And I have a real bugaboo about the fact that the only time it seems like some men are able to believe that we have equal rights is in those moments where it's like, oh, well, it's not okay that you said that because if a man said that, that would not be okay. Well, here's the problem, sir. We don't have equal standing in those situations. So when we reverse the image and show you what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, what's going on, all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, how dare you? How dare you? Women and men are equal." No, we're fucking not, and that's the fucking problem, Jeff. Like, chill the fuck out. Like, ugh. Like, if we were all equal and treated equally in, like, public transportation and in the government and everywhere else, we probably wouldn't feel a need to show you or to explain to you with such intense language what we deal with on a fucking daily basis. You fucking twit. Oh my god, it makes me so angry.
You are adorable when you have a bugaboo. As now that I realize that's your term,
That
you
is my
are like an
term.
angry kitten, and I love it so much. this is step 1 of our acts of microfeminism. Just don't move out of the way, and if you don't believe us, take 1 day to just be aware of it, and it is you will never be able to not see it ever again.
Yep.
So that's 1. Number 2, assume when anyone is talking to you about any high level position, a CEO, a president of something, a top executive, any of those things, just assume that it is a she that they are speaking of and then speak it that way. So just assume. So when they say, yeah, and then the CEO did this, you go, wow, she did. Well, what does she do next? Just make the assumption and speak it that way. That is your little moment of that's a nice little stick it to them because watch how it will completely stop the conversation.
Mhm.
Like they will need to stop and go, well, is he? And they might even think that you're being funny,
Uh-huh.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Like, as if that is, like, a comical idea.
So that one's kind of a fun one. I think it might take me a little while to just like naturally do that,
Well, you have to
but
undo, like, intense conditioning, but, like, after that, it's gonna be fun AF.
I like it.
I do
All
too.
right, so number 3, if they use any kind of condescending or demeaning pet name at you, like honey, sugar, sweetheart, just use it right back and try and do it
Ooh.
naturally. So don't do it in a way that shows that you're angry because that doesn't help. So if they're like, oh, well, thank you, sweetheart, don't like, yeah, sweetheart, because as we all know, that turns you into a bitch. Because that's the fine line is if you are angry or upset, even rightfully so, you're a bitch. So don't go that way because that doesn't help your cause. If you can smile right back and go, "No problem, sweetheart. No problem, sweetheart," and say it in the same way that they did. Where they're like, "Hey, honey. Oh, thanks, honey." And watch how, like, their little eyebrows will, like,
Yeah.
squinch together in confusion.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, then they really meant it in a nice way, and it really was a term of endearment, and now they think you're friends. Because I will say there are some people I've ran into in my lifetime that would call a woman, a dog, anybody, like sweetie, honey, baby, like it's just how they are, and they don't mean it in any like sort of disrespectful way. So you either get to have a best friend with that one, or you get to make a misogynist uncomfortable.
Oh,
Win-win.
I love
Win-win.
that. That's so good. All right, 2 more. Next one. If you are asked an inappropriate question, just don't answer.
Love
Like,
that.
maintain eye contact, but do not answer. It will be mildly uncomfortable for some of you, but talk about making a misogynist uncomfortable.
Mhm.
It's sort of like what you had suggested, Carly, some episodes back of like when someone says something inappropriate and you respond with, well, what do you mean? Right? This is your way of just staring at them. So this would be like in a thing of you're in a job interview and they go, so are you married? We just we just hold that eye contact and we just don't answer it.
I love that. Think of if you have like a toxic mother-in-law, think of how fun family dinners are gonna be. So why aren't you working right now? Silence. Why are you guys gonna give me more grandbabies? Silence. Do you like my pie that I made that's trash? Silence. How fun, guys.
Because remember, she who speaks first has the power. Or no, he who speaks last has the power. That's right. Because that's how they do it in like sales stuff too.
Mhm.
Is they hold and they wait. And if you're the first to talk, you lose.
Yep. Well, and in PR they teach you that too.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like, if an interviewer asks you something that's, like, inappropriate, or something that you don't wanna talk about, you give, like, a very short answer, and then you allow silence because then the interviewer is forced to, like, move on or press harder, and then the interviewer looks like a piece of shit, or they, like, continue on so you don't have to stay on the topic.
Love this. All right, well, here's our last one. Whenever you are trying to give examples of, like, historical people in power or athletes, anything like that, always use female examples. So, oh, like, for example, talk about Serena Williams as the GOAT. Right,
Yeah,
exactly. So, always use female examples when you're gonna talk about, heads of government. All of a sudden, talk about my first mind goes to, like, Queen Elizabeth, but there are lots of other modern
yeah,
ones.
but I love that.
Madeleine Albright. Like, we want to just go ahead and use that as your example
Yeah,
instead of jumping to every single one of our male leaders.
I love that. Well, because there is always a woman that you can use as an example, but, like, because I feel like there are, like, far more honest people or women than, like, Honest Abe. Like, we could do this. Oh, I like that. I like that one a lot.
So there you go. So those are your, like, tiny micro acts of feminism, and those are on a big level. But Carly, you sent me some stuff, and we can kind of go back and forth on these because I thought
Yeah,
this was really funny. These are like little pieces of rebellion that people have done every day and shared on Reddit, which is our favorite.
my favorite.
So maybe these will motivate you to think outside the box and do that little piece of rebellion that says, I'm not okay with the way things are right now, but I'm also not ready to burn it all down.
Yeah. I'm making myself more comfortable.
Yeah. So here we go. This is one of my favorites. This is from Weave27 says, I have a cactus in my cubicle to convey quite passive aggressively the desolate environment in which I work. The cactus's name is Daryl and is my only friend at work.
See, like, I love that so much because everybody else is like, "Oh, look, he's got a nice little cactus on his desk." And every day he comes in and he knows exactly what that cactus is for. Like, he
Yeah.
knows who Daryl is.
He's like, bitches, this is how I feel every day. I feel like it could also be a warning. Like, I am a
Mhm.
prickly MF, so don't get on my bad side.
I love that.
This isn't necessarily an act of female rebellion, but I do enjoy this. I tear up whatever junk mail I get and send it back to them in their prepaid envelopes.
Good that must feel.
Yeah, that just feels more petty though than actual rebellion. Like, unless it's someone that you've asked to be removed from their mailing list.
Ugh, that's so
Like,
much work.
really?
But why should you have to? Why should you have to request it? Like, you didn't want to be on their list. You didn't put yourself on their list. They took it upon themselves. So basically, it's the idea of like someone on a much smaller scale, like someone being like, well, here, you need this. And then you being like, I don't need this. And then you like rip it up and then you send it back. I think that's awesome. And now I know what my new favorite hobby is.
It feels a little petty to me.
I'm
That's just me.
Hey, it's nice to meet you. I am Tom Petty. Like, I have not changed. I'm not losing that glow in my personality.
I will tell you though, this I think is my favorite. This is from Epinova who says, I clean up stupid graffiti I find scrawled across desks for no reason. I like to think of it as a rebellion against rebellion. My favorites so far include if the graffiti is Henry has AIDS, they change it to Henry has aided the homeless.
Positive graffiti. I
Yes.
love it so much.
Or Pete eats sack has been changed to Pete eats salted peanuts. Like it
I love
just
that.
mhm.
Well, because he could have even done like P eats sack lunch. How responsible. Like, you could do so much. I love that. I love that so much.
That might actually be my new, like, small act of rebellion.
Yeah.
Rebellion against rebellion.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I feel better. I feel like I may not be able to change the whole world, but man, I can stay real busy doing lots of fun things.
Me too, Carly. Thanks so much for bringing all of this, like, fantastic strong, happy, feminine energy.
Oh, I love that. If I can leave a little bit of that to the world every day, I think I've done a good job.
See, guys, we can do this. Together, we're all fine. We would love to hear about some of your tiny acts of rebellion if you have some. Send it to us at we'reallfinepodcast@gmail. You can write it on our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. What's the other one?
TikTok?
Snapchat?
Snapchat?
No, TikTok.
Yeah,
There you go. And TikTok. So we would love to hear about it. You can film it, you can write it down. We just like to know about your little acts of rebellion, and maybe we can all join in. Make you feel kind of good on some of these days where we just feel completely out of control. Well, guys, we hope you have a wonderful, powerful week. We love you.